Hi there. Welcome to today's show. We're going to find out how to get started painting kindness rocks. Perhaps you've heard of it, and you could look it up on YouTube and you can find out all about it. But today we're going to talk about just what you need to get started and things like that. So first of all, let's talk about the main thing, which is rocks. You may go down to Carlsbad Beach and they have an area where you can pick up rocks. I think a bucket of them. I'm not sure exactly where. I've never been, but I've heard a lot of people go down there for their rocks, and it's perfectly legal to take a couple buckets. But you need to find out more about that. National parks you can't take rocks from, so be careful where you take rocks from. You've got to get permission. Anyway, okay, so we've got some rocks here that I got from Home Depot. They came in a bag. They were about 10 bucks. It's kind of an assortment. What I do is I bring my rocks home and I dip them in water. Normally they're just dusty. Sometimes I get my rocks over at the Gravel Supply. Sometimes I can find them for as little as 18 cents a pound. Or they also sometimes have assortment packages for $14.99 where you can get like 80 pounds of rocks for, 14 bucks or something like that. Anyway, what I do is I just dip them, I kind of wipe them off, and then right here I've got one of those mats like you put your dishes on, one of those terry cloth type mats. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just rinse these rocks really quick in our water. I don't do any big scrubbing unless they have, debris, cement, or, something like that on them. Anyway, so we'll get these dunked. You might be able to see, I don't know, in the water, just a little bit of chunks of dust and dirt coming off of them, but other than that, they dry really quick, especially on one of these mats. You can almost get started painting right away, as long as you got good weather, of course. And today it's pretty sunny and warm, so I think these will dry very quickly. Okay, last one. I just thought I'd rub them with my finger a little bit and wrap them in a little towel. Just kind of wipe them off that way. Okay, we'll let those dry right now. And while those are drying, we'll go ahead and talk about some of the supplies we need to get started. Now probably the cheapest and easiest supplies to start out with would be, like your 2-ounce bottles, or bigger if you like, of this is Apple Barrel that I'm using, but you can use, there's a lot of brands out there. These are at Walmart for like 50 cents. This is antique white. No point in giving you a product number because you're going to choose your own colors as you go. But I would say you need black, you need white for sure, and then maybe your primary colors, and then if you want to add to that later on, you can. You need an assortment of brushes. You can have some wider brushes, a little bit bigger brush, a little smaller. This is a stencil brush, a small one. They're the flat rounds where you use just the tip of those. And that's if you're going to be doing stencils on a rock. Foam brushes, that's for putting on your sealer and paint. Maybe for base coating, you'll find out what you want to use it for. But these you can get, I'm saying about 12 or 24 of them in a package for, less than $3 or $4 over there at Walmart. Also, scissors. Everybody has those, I'm sure. And then, right here I have a large thing of Apple Barrel white paint. Sometimes it pays to buy the larger white and black because you're going to use a lot of white and a lot of black eventually. Another thing that I added to my collection after I started was Sharpie markers. Now they have all the Sharpie markers in all the assorted colors. I don't have the assortment pack here right now, but I do have them of all your primary colors and so forth. But I do use the red a lot, the black a lot, and the metallics a lot. And I have silver, gold, and bronze. And I love these because I can make dots with them, I can do outlines, I can color in with them, I can do lips, eyes, and all sorts of things. So these are handy to have, and I didn't get them all at once. I sort of collected them a little bit as I went along. And I'm going to set these right here. Okay, and then of course there's a lot of paint markers on the market. These are Posca, and they're ultra fine. which is for doing fine lines. Or again, eyes, you know, small, tiny things that you need to do. These are painter's markers, and these are neons. I think they probably, well, I'm not sure on the glitter, but they may have glitter ones, I'm not positive, but they do have neon, and then they have all your other colors, and including your metallics, your black and your white, and primary colors, pastel colors. Anyway, so that's another thing that you can use. Then here's some painter's markers. Now I'll show you the tip on these. The neons that I've got have all a medium-sized tip. And now here is what they call a fine tip. So this is the small tip for doing outlines and small things. And this is just a different color painter's marker. And okay, the other thing that I have incorporated into my repertoire here is I went to Amazon and I found these nail dotters. They're in the section for fingernails, and as you can tell, mine are a mess right now. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of rock projects lately. Okay, we have the wooden, they call them stylus, like a wooden dotting stylus. This set comes with 6, and I don't have them in order, but they go from the smallest dot to the largest dot, and those come in real handy to dip in your paint and just dot, whether you're doing nails or you're doing rocks. And then they have this other set that comes with it almost as a bonus, and I think, if I remember right, and I could be wrong, it could be anywhere between $3.99 and $6 for the set of 2. But you can't miss these ones with the big balls. I kept thinking, boy, what do they do with those? You know, for fingernails, that's an awfully big stylus, but it's perfect for rocks. Just perfect for doing mandalas and different little dotting projects. Okay, let's see, what else have we got? Okay, we've got some labels. I have some cut up here, but as you can see, I've got small labels, medium-sized labels, and large labels. And what I do is I print them off, and I cut them out and stick them here in different size, you know. And if I have a little rock, I use a small label. A lot of people think you can't put a label on a small rock, but you really can. Most of them you can. It kind of forms to the rock once you get the Mod Podge. Now the Mod Podge is what we use to put labels on, and sometimes we use for all over rock sealers, unless we need it to be waterproof, and then we use the green label, which is the outdoor protective, waterproof, weatherproof, okay, I guess is what we're trying to say. So Mod Podge regular and Mod Podge green eventually will be what you probably want to get for your sealer and also to affix your labels. But it comes in handy for so many things that I always have some on hand. Okay, let's see. So I think our rocks are dry, some of our rocks. Now the first thing I do when I get my rocks all clean, and usually I clean a whole bunch of rocks at a time, like a whole bunch. And then I'll just lay them out. First I'll decide which one is the bottom and which one is the top. If it kind of rolls and is unstable on one side and it's more flat on the other side, okay, so I'll determine that's the bottom. So I'll just flip them over to their bottoms, like so. And I might do 100 rocks at a time. But I'm just going to do these 3 for the sake of this video. So now you want to take your Mod Podge, and I do this ahead of time because sometimes I never know when I'm going to need a bunch of rocks quick for a holiday or for a rock hunt for my group, Faith Rocks Riverside, or for, you know, the Seniors Rock Riverside. That's another one of my Facebook things that I'm just getting started with, that project, to get seniors involved in doing kindness rocks. And then I'll just grab my brush and grab a label that's already cut up. I'll just stick it on there, go over the top with a little Mod Podge. And since a lot of my rocks, some people paint the whole rock. Now if you're going to paint the whole rock, you may want to put your labels on last. But most of the time I paint just the top of the rock. Let me see if I have a sample to show you. Okay, here's one that's been base coated, and you see my label and the rock shows. That's so I can write something on the rock, but the pretty design will be on top. You know, and other rocks, you know, you might want to paint the whole thing one color. So I basically do just the top of the rock. So on the bottom, I just pretend like I cut the rock in half. Half of it's Mod Podged with a label and left blank. and the other half I go ahead and put a base coat on so that I'm all ready to paint in a moment's notice, and I have several rocks to choose from already labeled and ready to go. It's always frustrating to me when I start painting a rock and then I'm in a hurry and I get done and I think, oh good, I'm done, and then I turn it over and realize, uh-oh, I don't have a label on it. Also, if you notice, I have two things of water here. I have plain clear water, and this is my refill in case I need it, because I'm out in my backyard doing this right now, so if you hear any dogs bark or anything, planes going over, you know why. So this is soapy water here, because when you're working with any kind of brush-on sealer, you don't want to end up having your paintbrush get glued together and you have to throw it away, or use Murphy's oil soap or something else to try to unglue it. So I let that kind of swish it around real good at the bottom, and then I let it sit for a minute, and then I'll rinse it with clear water, and then I'll be ready to use it for either painting or okay, while we're letting that label dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our rocks. I only have a couple small ones that are labeled here already, and we're going to show you how to base coat. Now, base coat is super easy. You want to take your base coat color, and if you're not sure what you're going to paint and you're going to do a whole bunch of rocks, you might want to just base coat with a pure white, or a sheer white. You usually need about 2 coats, and you want those coats to be relatively thin. It's not like you're painting a house where you want it to be perfect. Okay, now see, I've got my Mod Podge labeled there, so I'm just going to go halfway around the rock. It's basically almost a dry brush. I've got a little bit too much paint on here for that, but it's kind of where you just smear the paint on there, get it in the general area, maybe fill in any little hole in the rock. And it's not supposed to look good. It's not supposed to look perfect. You're supposed to still be able to see through the rock, but it's going to dry a lot faster that way. Okay? So let's let that dry, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so our rock was dry, and I went ahead and did the sides and the top a second time, and now we're going to leave this to dry. I'm going to put this right here. Okay, kind of wash the paint I got on my hands off, clean out my brush, and let's see, what are we going to do next? Okay, we're back. We have 2 coats on our rock, and I'm going to let you see kind of a sample of what some of these items on the table can do. This isn't a rock tutorial, how to paint a rock. This is more of a sample thing to show you what it looks like to use different supplies. Now, you already pretty much know what paint and paintbrushes do, so I'm going to remove those right now from the table so that we have more room. And I'm just going to use what I need right now. Okay. Now I've added Sargent Art acrylic glitter glaze, which is a permanent finish, water reducible, non-yellowing, clean with soap and water before drying, dries clear, meaning your brushes, clean your brushes with soap and water. And we've got the Mod Podge here. So I'm just going to show you a couple little things that I do with different things. So let's start out with the paint markers. Let's say I want to take my neon painter's marker with a medium tip, and I just want to make a little couple scribbles here and there. You don't even have to be artistic when you're first starting out, and the more you do, the better you'll get. I look back on some of the rocks that I first did, and wow, what a difference. Some practice and playing around with these things. These are acrylic paint in a tube, basically, in a pen. And they're the same acrylic paint pretty much as you get in the bottle. It's just that these are great for traveling, great on the go. We go off to a hotel or something, go overnight somewhere. I can take these with me a lot easier than I can take all my paints and brushes, and I need water and all that other stuff. Don't get me wrong, paint has its purpose, but eventually you might want to have both. Okay. Anyway. So we'll just kind of let that dry. They dry pretty fast. Now I'm just going to take, let's say, some of this different color, aqua. What is it? Oh, it's a Sea Mist Maritime. medium tip. I'll just scribble a little bit of that on there. The medium tip is really good for coloring in large areas. The fine tip is really good for doing your writing or putting on a little saying or phrase. It's also good, the fine tip, for ultra fine. Well, they come in extra fine for painters, and Posca comes in ultra fine. So if it says fine, then it is. But I'll show you the difference between the Posca fine is this sort of writing tip. Almost like a pen. It's a real fine tip. This is extra fine, I believe, or is it? Oh no, it's just called fine. Okay, and you can see the difference. One is a tiny bit thicker, but this is also good for coloring in if it's not too big of a space. Then you got your Sharpie markers, and some of those come with a regular tip on this end and a fine tip on this end, and they do come in colors that way as well. So that's kind of nice because you have the large tip, and of course mine's a little larger because I've used it a lot. And then you've got the kind of micro fine, and those come in handy also for writing on the back of your rock. Although, like I said, most of these work best when your rock is completely dry. And the Sharpies, sometimes I've been told, and I've even found out myself, that they will smear if they're wet, so you need to let them dry or put a matte finish over it, or Mod Podge first. If you're going to use another sealer, then you can put your gloss. Okay, now I'm going to use the red and the blue Sharpie. And I'm just going to put some scribbles here and there. Now maybe these aren't the best colors going together, but this is just for the sample, like I said. And I've actually seen rocks similar to this that were pretty cute, so I was inspired by those. Okay, now that we've got however many colors you want scribbled on there, you can take your black, thicker Sharpie and you can put a line and make a box. This isn't my idea. This is a rock that I've seen circulating. Many people do it. They make a box and then they write in there color outside the lines. Anyway, I think it's a pretty cute rock. Good for a beginner. And you know, you could even add a paintbrush here if you wanted to. Sometimes I think that's cute with a little paintbrush, and then of course I can color that in. I would make the gold for the metal piece here. And let's see, maybe, let's see what we've got. How about, we'll just make the brush black. Now, like I said, this isn't quite dry yet, and usually I have to let these dry really well before using the paint marker on it, unless I'm doing paint on paint. So anyway, once that dries, I can fill it in properly. But anyway, that's kind of our sample rock using just paint pens and Sharpies. You can use all paint pens, all Sharpies, or half and half, whatever you want to do. And I would recommend on this rock style, they usually have primary colors, you know, yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, you know, rainbow colors. I just don't have those here to do right now. Anyway, as soon as this dries, and even though it's not dry quite yet, usually I don't have any problem with smearing when it comes to using the Mod Podge. So we'll go ahead and put some sealer on there now. Just get ample on your brush. Use a wider brush, and just don't just kind of pull it back like this. You don't need to press down hard. Sometimes that's how you make it smear, is because you press too hard and you have too little on your brush. And so it's like you're rubbing it with your paintbrush. You can use a foam brush for this, or you can use a paintbrush. This is just my favorite brush for doing all my brush on sealers. And I do my labels with this too. And also, some people spend a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time to make rocks they're going to give away. I know a lot of rockers that spend so much time making their rocks so beautiful, and then they don't want to give them away because they are having a hard time parting with them. So always keep in mind that when you're doing rocks for the kindness program, you know, you can make a nice rock and it doesn't have to take a ton of time. And just remind yourself when you think your rock isn't perfect that you're giving it away and somebody's going to find it and it's going to make their day and give them a smile. Anyway, okay, whoops. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. Okay, yeah. So that's with one coat of Mod Podge. It's pretty much dry. And of course you want to let everything dry completely. And like I said, done with different colors. This is a really cute little rock. Good starter rock for people. Even kids could do this, you know. Kids are good at scribbling. Anyhow, okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to add a little bit of the Sargent Art glitter glaze, just to give it a little bit of sparkle on the white part of the rock. By the way, we had no smearing with the marker, with the Sharpie marker, so that's good news. As I said, the Mod Podge, if you put a liberal amount on your brush and just don't press too hard, use a big brush, and just do it nice and easy. I always do the edges first when I'm base coating and when I'm applying my sealer. I do that first because then I can lay the rock down and then do the center. I'll take my time here, getting it how I want it. I love this glitter because it doesn't really look like glitter. It almost looks like a shimmer, like an iridescent shimmer. And it's really pretty on any rock, no matter what color you're using. Now, while I let that dry for a minute and wash my brush out in the soapy water, just to make sure that doesn't goo up my brush, I'll tell you about another kind of glitter. I'm sure there's several on the market, but this is another one I use frequently. It's Extreme Glitter, and it is by Folk Art. This is, this color is actually Emerald, and it's 2794E. They're about $1.97 at Walmart. I don't remember how much they were other places. I've been collecting a little bit at a time from different places, but pretty much I've landed at Walmart because they've got great prices, and they most of the time have the glitters I want and the acrylic paints I want, brushes, foam brushes, you name it, Mod Podge. They've got just about everything in one-stop shopping. So anyway, let me pour a little bit out here. We're going to just put a little bit of this glitter down so that you can see. Now it'll look kind of milky and almost like it has color. It does have a hint of color. And I'll kind of move this over and kind of spread it out for you to see. And as this dries, you're not going to see too much color, but you're going to see mostly sparkle and glitter. And again, wash out your brush. Okay, so I picked up that little white base coated rock, and I kind of smeared out some glitter here so that you'll see when it's dry how much color you get and how much glitter. And of course, the more you use, the darker the color and the darker, more glitter that you get on there. Okay, so we're going to let that dry, and then I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use some of the dotting tools. Okay, so before we move on with the glitter sample, let's first take a close-up look of our rock that we did, our sample rock, and maybe you can see the glimmer of the Sargent Art glitter glaze, acrylic glitter glaze. All right, we're going to put that aside now. And here's our small rock. And it was base coated white. You can see how much glitter and color that has. Sometimes you just want it for the outside of the rock, maybe just to have some shimmer. Anyway, okay, let's move on. We're going to just touch upon real quick these dotting tools, because some of you might be thinking, well, what do I do with those? And there's just so many things you could do with these. They sure come in handy. Now, let me first get some paint out here. Okay, so I've got some Apple Barrel Fuchsia, product number 20216E. And let's see what else. We've got Candy Pink, Apple Barrel Candy Pink 21465E. And we're just going to do some dots with that. Because it's what I have handy here. So later on we can do a full-on mandala or dotting rock tutorial. Just let me know if that's what you'd like to see, or if you have ideas or comments or things you'd like me to do. I'd be happy to do that for you. Okay, so I'm just going to take, I don't know the size on it, I'm just going to take this one and I'm going to dip it in the paint. And you can just dot it on there like that, or sometimes I like to roll it around a little bit to get a better dot. I wipe it off on my towel. Then I might come in with the smaller size on the other side, and I might just do some dots. Now I'm doing this real quick and not real precise, so I've made some beautiful dotted rocks, or mandalas they call them. But you know, they take a little bit more of a steady hand time and picking out your colors. We're just doing a sample here. You know, I think I'm going to add purple to that, just so you kind of see a darker contrast color. And of course I put out way too much paint. I tend to do that, but usually if I don't let it dry too long, I just scoop it up with my squared off paintbrush and put it all back in the bottle. Now you can take your smaller dotter and you can do dots around dots. I'm just doing some flowers here, sort of. And you don't have to dip in each time, it just depends on how much you dip per dip. Sometimes I can do 2 or 3 dots and I have to go back and dip again. But this is really fun, and it's really relaxing. I've noticed that when I'm doing mandalas or dotted rocks and coming up with ideas and designs, it's really like art therapy. I mean, I feel so relaxed and I enjoy it so much. I'm surprised I don't do dotted rocks all the time. Just that, you know, I have a couple groups, and for those groups I've got a lot of commitments to get rocks done fast. And these are ones you want to take your time and just really enjoy yourself. And to make them really, really good, you do have to take some time for those. Okay, then maybe I will do one more row of dotting around it, and let's say I'll do the larger one here. And I'm going to take my center color, and I'm just going to follow the whole thing around like I'm circling all the flowers. Now, when I first started and I didn't have these daughters, and even still, some people who don't want to spring for them, because I know at first maybe it seems overwhelming, all the supplies, they just use the end of their toothbrush. Sorry about that. I don't know what's wrong with my brain today. Okay, they use the back of their paintbrush, so you can do that too. That works well as well. You know, and you've got different paintbrushes with different size tips, so you can do that also. But the daughters are nice because you can get specific sizes to do the kind of pattern you want. Let me give you a close-up of that. It's going to take some time for this to dry. And we've got it just on a base coated background with some extreme glitter over the top. I don't know if you can see the shimmer on that, the glitter. There's actually quite a bit of glitter. It's a green glitter though. The Sargent art is more of an iridescent, which matches every rock. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe so that we can bring you more videos like this. Bye-bye.